You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your IT Fundamentals certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. One of the most important study tools inside a guide is the built-in review questions. These questions reflect the style and format of the real ITF Plus exam. They may ask for definitions, comparisons, or scenario-based problem solving. Answering these questions after each chapter helps reinforce memory and alerts you to weak areas. Make it a habit to answer them without looking back at the chapter. Later, you can return and retest yourself to measure improvement and retention over time. Highlighting and annotation are active reading strategies that make your study sessions more effective. Instead of just reading, use a highlighter to mark key terms, definitions, or phrases that summarize major ideas. If your guide has space in the margins, jot down notes to yourself. Rephrase definitions, list associations, or draw arrows between related concepts. These margin notes will be helpful later when you revisit the chapter. They also allow you to personalize the content in ways that make it easier to recall on exam day. Your study guide likely includes a glossary at the back, and it should be used often. When you encounter an unfamiliar term in a chapter, don't go straight to the glossary. Read the definition, and then return to the paragraph where the term appeared. This double exposure reinforces vocabulary and helps you understand how a term is used in context. If you find yourself returning to the same glossary entries over and over, consider creating a personal glossary with simpler phrasing for your own review purposes. Study guides also include diagrams and visual tools that serve as memory anchors. A chart comparing input and output devices or a figure showing a network layout can often explain more than paragraphs of text. Pay attention to tables, flowcharts, and illustrations that connect to exam objectives. If a concept appears in both text and diagram form, memorize the diagram as a visual shorthand. Some learners redraw diagrams in their notes as a way to reinforce understanding through visual repetition. Chapters that feel long or overwhelming should be broken down into smaller parts. Treat each sub-objective, such as 3.3 or 5.1, as a separate reading goal. Read a few pages at a time, then pause and summarize out loud or write a quick note about what you learned. Small chunks prevent burnout and give your brain time to absorb each concept fully. When you return to the guide the next day, you'll find it easier to continue where you left off without needing to reread the whole section. The table of contents is not just a navigation tool. It can be used to track your study progress. Print out a copy or write it down in a notebook, then mark each chapter as you complete it. Use check marks, color coding, or status labels like Review Again or Needs More Time. Seeing visual progress builds momentum and gives you a clear sense of how far along you are in your preparation. If you're behind schedule, the Contents page helps you prioritize your remaining time by showing what's left. Verbs in study guides matter more than most learners realize. Words like identify, compare, or describe are taken directly from the CompTIA objectives. They signal the level of understanding required. For example, identify means you need to recognize a term or concept, while compare may require you to distinguish between two related ideas. Matching the action verb to your study technique flashcards for identify, diagrams for compare helps you prepare more effectively and target the right depth of knowledge. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. One of the most effective ways to enhance your study guide experience is to pair it with audio content, especially this prepcast. After reading a chapter from the guide, listen to the matching episode to reinforce the same ideas from a different perspective. This dual exposure first through text, then through audio helps activate different areas of your memory. If you encountered something confusing in the book, the prepcast may explain it in simpler terms. If something was clear in the book, hearing it again in a different context can deepen your understanding. The repetition is intentional, and the combination of reading and listening increases both comprehension and retention. As you move through the guide, it's important to keep the official CompTIA objectives nearby and cross-check your progress. Each sub-objective listed by CompTIA corresponds to a specific section in the guide. Reviewing these objectives as you study allows you to track which areas you've completed and which still need attention. Many learners use the objective list as a checklist, marking off each subtopic as it's covered. This practice reinforces the alignment between what you are reading and what will appear on the actual test. While studying each chapter, take the extra step of creating personal study notes. After you finish a section, try summarizing it in your own words. These notes don't need to be long. A few bullet points or a short paragraph is enough. This process forces you to process and rephrase the content, which helps transfer it into long-term memory. Later, you can turn these notes into flashcards, quiz questions, or diagrams. Writing your own summary also helps you explain the material out loud, which is a good test of true understanding. If your study guide comes with online companion tools, be sure to explore and use them consistently. Many guides include links to digital quizzes, flashcard platforms, or timed assessments. These resources are especially useful for reinforcing what you've read and identifying areas that still need improvement. Because they are interactive, they help keep you engaged. They also provide an opportunity to track your progress over time and apply spaced repetition techniques, which are proven to improve retention. Some common mistakes can reduce the effectiveness of using a study guide. The first is skipping over difficult sections. When something feels hard to understand, it's natural to want to move on, but these are the sections you most need to spend time with. Another mistake is reading without reflecting. If you're flipping pages without pausing to summarize or check your understanding, much of the content will be forgotten quickly. A third mistake is avoiding active recall. Simply rereading material gives you familiarity, but that doesn't mean you've mastered it. You need to test yourself repeatedly to turn knowledge into confidence. One of the most overlooked strategies is rereading chapters that were difficult the first time. The second or third time through, things that once felt unclear often make more sense. Rereading helps reinforce structure, clarify definitions, and strengthen your ability to explain the concept to others. If a chapter seemed overwhelming before, breaking it into smaller sections and revisiting it later may unlock its meaning in a way that wasn't possible during your first pass. During the final week before your exam, your study guide becomes your most valuable review resource. Instead of reading entire chapters, focus on the end of chapter summaries and glossary terms. Quickly scan highlighted content and revisit review questions that gave you trouble earlier in your prep. Your goal during this week is not to learn new information, but to strengthen what you already know. Review each domain briefly every day, rotating through areas of focus and reinforcing terminology, concepts, and key relationships. Take time to evaluate your comfort level with each domain as you approach the exam. Use a rating system such as complete, partial, or needs review to mark your understanding. If Domain 2 feels solid, but Domain 4 still feels weak, spend more time reviewing software development concepts. Let this data shape your remaining study sessions. This method helps you avoid wasting time on well-known content and ensures that your weak areas receive targeted attention when it matters most. Study guides remain one of the most trusted and flexible resources for exam preparation. They are comprehensive, structured, and specifically aligned with the exam content. Whether you're a visual learner who highlights and annotates, an auditory learner who supplements with prepcast episodes, or a kinesthetic learner who rewrites notes and diagrams, the study guide adapts to your needs. It is available whenever you need it, offers content in predictable formats, and can be revisited repeatedly throughout your study timeline. To summarize, mastering the study guide means more than just reading it once. Use the guide actively. Take notes, highlight, quiz yourself, and revisit chapters that need reinforcement. Connect each chapter to the official objectives and track your progress using both the table of contents and the CompTIA sub-objectives list. Pair your reading with audio content, flashcards, and digital quizzes when possible. Build study habits around clarity, reflection, and consistency. By using every tool the guide provides, you turn a single book into a structured, supportive roadmap that leads directly to exam success. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.